Triggers, no cat, bitch.
That's right. Do you find it harder to manage R&B or hip hop?
There's really it's not a level of difficulty,
Okay.
but
Personalities.
the difference between R&B and hip hop is R&B is non-confrontational.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
smoother. It's easier. It's
easy.
catered.
Okay.
R&B caters to a female audience, so you're not going through testosterone battles because every dude that's there to sing, they coming to sing for their woman female audience.
Anyway, okay.
Hoping that they gonna sing, they gonna perform, the women gonna buy merch, they gonna buy tickets, they coming to the after party. It's gonna be non-confrontational, unlike hip hop
Okay.
artists. In most cases, and until they reach star status, it's a sausage fest. It's nothing but males that's out there in the audience. It's to go to the after party. You got males that want to be around males. That's fighting to be in the VIP section, moving the chicks out the way. So I couldn't relate to it. To be honest with you, I like the R&B side better.
Okay.
Yeah, I see why people go R&B.
But I mean, if you was to break it down, it's like, okay, rap compared to R&B. Rap is cocaine, R&B is heroin.
Wow.
So I was born in the 90s after the drug epidemic. I'm not really big on that crack or heroin. Is there any difference in, like, when you say...
Different high,
Different calls.
different costs.
Okay.
One is cocaine or crack is, I guess you could say, loud,
Okay.
Okay.
braggacious, stun heavy, where heroin is it's quiet.
All right.
You could barely see the flow.
I understand.
Oh wow. That's a good
Good analogy.
good analogy. Yes.
Yeah. So we was talking on the phone. He was talking to my dad, and you made a good point. And the point that you was making, I kind of seen it into the Nipsey Hussle story of just telling somebody no. In today's generation, can't take the word no and move on. They have to retaliate or attack or feel some type of defense because you said no to them.
I mean, I found that it has a great deal to do with home infrastructure, right? You got a great deal of the black males that grow up in a household when, in most cases, they're the only male figure in the household. Single moms are raising these boys, trying the best that they can. In a lot of cases, you got boys that's in the crib with either younger brothers or younger sisters. And like any other young man that's in the house for a 5-year run, a 10-year run, and he the only one, he's the authoritative figure when he's in that household 90% of the time, manning the ship. He in turn has the mindset of, I'm a boss, right? For which he is within that household amongst his younger brothers and younger sisters. But I find that what young brothers don't understand is that your energy is not transferable when you leave the house and go outside in the street. Meaning that your boss while you're in the house, while running the house, and the ego that you build while in the house running your sisters or your brothers or your younger brothers and sisters around, when you go out into the world and you hit the curb, it don't transfer. You're not a boss amongst other bosses that might really be out here in the street. So what I find is that you have emotional confrontations that unfortunately only get resolved by somebody being negatively the bigger emotional person, which means that these things escalate to the point of, okay, you was talking out of turn, because you thought you was the bigger boss while we got into a confrontation or argument.
Right.
I'm really out here in these streets. You disrespectful as shit. So disrespectful, and you don't really understand how disrespectful you are. And you talking so heavy and crazy to, I don't know whether or not you really got the capability of doing it or not. I'm just going to go for the guarantee, and I'm going to smoke you. You out of here. But that's still another emotional decision for which the person that does the smoking, he don't know that he going to have to deal with. It might not strike him right then and there, but then sooner or later, after he or she gets locked up and they have time to think and reflect and to get places and have other conversations with other people to get them to understanding how to evolve, how to change, how to become more conscious, then that person in turn for everything that they've ever done, that shit comes back to haunt them every day of their life. Like every day of their life.
You know, and how do we correct this problem with our youth?
The only way I see that the problem is going to be able to be corrected is a whole lot of accountability, right? I'll break down a personal story. My mom, her father lived next door to her growing up as a kid. He never did a fucking thing for her whole time growing up as a kid. Right? My mom's grandparents raised her, which is she had a grandmother and a grandfather. They raised her and gave their daughter, which is my mom's mom, ample opportunity to go and get her life in order to become a nurse and to go to nursing school. Based on the infrastructure that she had, even with this cornball ass nigga living next door that been unaccountable, that shit never had a psychological effect on her to know how to operate in society and to deal with having authority figures, because the infrastructure was there within the household that the grandparents put, meaning that there was a void that was there, but the void got filled.
Right.
Unfortunately, in today's time, the voids don't get filled,
right.
And these motherfuckers is out here running amok.
Right. They had to find other outlets to release it.
And that's how my situation was. My father wasn't around. My grandfather raised me. They made sure my mom went back to school. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm glad they stepped in. And then I was fortunate enough to be around guys like your father. I'm gonna be honest, Mr. Wormley, different men that have impacted me, whether they didn't even know it or not. And even though you guys were a few years older than me, you still was like, I wouldn't say my OG, but you was like a mentor. And today's young men don't have that mentor like we had.
Hey, you know what's funny? So I had a friend in high school. He asked me, and I didn't think about it back then, and I kind of like shrugged it off. But he asked me, "So your dad, your OJ?" And I said, like, he said it as in a way of trying to play me. But when I started thinking about it while I was in college, it's like, yeah, my dad is my OG. My dad is the OG that's gonna protect me and never gonna turn his back on me and take me out of this world.
Absolutely.
Most of these people that look up to OGs is the same people that can take them out. And that's time they come up.
I'm hearing dudes calling somebody the OG and the OG 2 years older than
Or a year older, a month older.
Yeah, how is...
That can't be OG.
How you gonna be an OG and you had an experience walking with the walk the face of the earth?
Right, they was in high school together and they kind of...
Yeah.
It's
just weird. And it's just like, even when I was coaching, like, it was just rough. And people say, well, why don't you coach now? And one thing always flashes back in my mind. I've had incident with kids and parents. Well, today, that same situation could play out with gunfight or a gun battle and put me in a harm situation. And not only would I lose my life, I got to think of my son's life. You know what I mean? And I got to think about my mom and everybody else's life that it affects. And I don't think people really take the time to think about when you kill a person, the domino effect that happens in the family. You know, and I don't think people really understand that. You know, and I feel bad for guys my son's age and under, because that's why, like we said, the father and son podcast was important, because we just want people to understand conversation. You have to bring things to a table and have conversation. But like I say, man, I really thank you, you, your father, your brother, different things, different people, Carl Wormley, Horace Wormley, people that came along, that when my grandfather couldn't give me that knowledge of life, your father said life. You always got to have a hustle. If it's washing cars, if it's tinting windows, if it's doing something.
Whatever it is.
You got to have a hustle.
You got to have your job
and a hustle.
And your hustle.
And I never forgot that.
Or you going to be a broke ass.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's what my dad always tried to teach me. And something he always say, I got to have a job that's every 2 weeks, a steady paycheck. And I didn't know he got it from your dad. So
it's about, how you going to create. You got to create multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if one thing leaves, then you crapped out. But if you still got your hustle going to keep you afloat till you find, quote unquote, another job or another great situation. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have nothing that's making that extra and your main thing leave, then you ass out.
Right. Question for you. One thing I do admire about you. I look at you and Freeway, and you're not just a manager, man. You're like a big brother, little brother, a good friend. You're there, man. And a lot of people would not take the time that you take, and I honor you for that, man.
But when you're a manager, like, everybody takes it to be about just the money. No. It's not about the money. You managing the well-being of that person's life. You literally have their life in your hands. That's why I really tell young dudes that's out here managing or call themselves managers. If you've never done it before, go partner up with somebody that's got some experience. You'll stay in the monetary stream of the flow of the money longer. Because once that artist realizes that you don't know nothing, they're going to be running as fast as they can to go find somebody with
that knowledge.
There's always people coming up to that artist too, trying to take it.
And good listen. Other managers could see through it. Other real managers could see through the novice scenario and know that you don't know what you're doing based on the things that are happening.
Right. Listen, and it's funny because people always DM me, man, you ever want to be a manager? And I always talk to you about it. I said, I don't have that. I managed bars and I managed businesses. I don't know if I can manage that.
I just feel as though in order for somebody to be a good manager, the first thing you should be able to manage for real, is yourself.
That's hard for people to do.
If you can't manage yourself, you don't have the ability to manage somebody else. If you don't have particular disciplines, if you don't have particular notable disciplines, how can you tell somebody else to have those same disciplines? Like, for instance, you're a fool of a manager if you party with your client and you drink with your client and you get broads with your client. So how you going to tell them to stop partying or to slow down on the broads if you doing the same thing that they doing?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You're going to lose your sense of authority. Being a good manager is about having a sense of authority. If you don't have a sense of authority, how is somebody going to respect it? Everybody respects authority.
Right.
I know this is jumping the gun, and I always say this to you. I can't wait for your book.
You waiting for that first artist that ever listened, huh?
Yeah, I'm waiting for your book, man. Yeah, listen, I know I wasn't supposed to say that, but I had to. I'm waiting for that book, man.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to be complete because
it's always a new chapter every day.
Always new chapters every year. The chapter, it just keeps opening up.
How long have you been in the business?
30 years.
Yeah, did you see his face when I mentioned the book? How he lights up. He don't see it. I see it. His face lights up like.
What, about the book?
Yeah, accomplishment. But he's never finished.
The name of the book is called "The First Artist That Ever Listened."
The first artist that ever listened.
But they never listened.
That's why I was going to ask that, but
they never listened.
Right.
So what the book is about is my personal journey and my personal truths in regards to my relationships with particular clients and how they got there, how particular decisions were made to make them either pivot and go another way, or for the better, or pivot and go another way for the worse.
Right.
So when I give the breakdowns of, particular things in this book, then people have their own real answers about why particular outcomes happen.
Okay, and it's the first artist to ever listen, because if they read it and they understand it, then they should listen.
Hey.
That makes sense. Yeah, that should be a top selling book right there.
That's what I keep saying to him. Maybe you have to do a part 1 and part 2.
Oh, it's gonna be in volumes.
Okay.
It's gotta be in volumes.
On Amazon or something, or
definitely it's gonna be an Amazon play. Make no mistake about it.
You said something about the management. How do you feel about now they have management teams and management companies like Rock Nation and other management music groups? How do you feel about those type of groups and those taking the majority clients now?
I think management is a thing where every artist needs their own services. Every management company doesn't necessarily render all the services that every artist needs. It's almost like, not even almost like, it's like if you top tier as an artist, right? Let's say our artist is a Benz, right? Okay, that Benz, it's a multitude of service places to go to service your car.
Okay.
But who services your AMG 63 the best? Who services his 560 SEL the best? Who services my CL 550 the best for me? Your experience might be your experience, his experience could be his experience, and mine be mine. But you have to go through trial and error to find what works best for you. Some people get it right from the inception. Some people it takes 10, 12 years before they find the right team to get with to turn the lights on.
And what's that biggest struggle that artists have then? Just
the biggest struggle is of not knowing about business. They spent so much time in regard to perfecting their artistry. It would be impossible for them to perfect their business and artistry simultaneously.
And how will you find the best way of understanding the music business? Because it's not really on paper, and people don't really know how much a stream equals to.
You gotta study. I think there's no excuses for someone not to study, because they have the mechanism of an iPhone or a daggone Samsung phone at their disposal to be able to Google any information. You know what I mean? I find myself up in the wee hours of the morning just constantly surfacing for information. So if I could do it at 53, there is no reason in the world. And I shouldn't be as hungry as a dude that's 21, 22 years old.
I'm still hungry.
His hunger should be beyond mine, because he ain't got nothing in his belly. He ain't never ate nothing.
Right.
I done had a few meals. I'm a little fat. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I done had a few meals, but I'm still hungry to get more meals. But the younger man, he should be way more hungry than me. Way more.
Alright. So if you hungry and you got that hunger, where do you go from there? What's the first avenue? Just making them relationships, or
be humble enough to know what you know and what you don't know. And if you don't have information, you need to find yourself a way to buckle up and be an intern and be a flyer on the wall for about 2-3 years at somebody's company to learn something, so that you wind up having a value. Because if you wind up being an intern and learn something to have a value, somebody will give you an opportunity.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a major key right there. I hope people is listening.
Yeah.
I definitely understand. Definitely know
Like,
what I had to do.
like what a lot of people don't understand with me and Mark is, I spent a lot of time being a flyer on the wall, working with Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, being around the likes of a Teddy Riley, being around the likes of a Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, being around the likes of LA and Babyface. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm talking about being places. I mean, I spent a whole summer at Brandon Way out in LA. Like being a fly on the wall while this kid Maurice was producing, but really being a fly on the wall in a winning place to understand how things really, really work and operate.
That's why a lot of times I sit back. I tell people, best thing is just leave your ears open. Keep your mouth
somebody
shut.
invites you in the room,
Just listen.
get in the room, fall back, chill, and suck up all the information.
Free knowledge.
All the conversations that's going to be coming from all over the place. Just suck it up.
Oh, yeah.
You have your mind is rolling. I see. You have a lot of things you're trying to do.
It's because it's personally for myself. It's just a lot of stuff that I want to do, and I just hope like this platform reach other people that's trying to accomplish their dreams in life, because like in this world, life is too short. You never know when it's your last day, so you have to go for the fullest. I have to say,
And I have to say for young people. Stop believing every fucking thing that you hear to come out of somebody's mouth. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, my man, he do X, Y, Z. He knows so and so and so and so. Yeah, well, what he could do is blase, blase, blase. Does he know these people because he parties with these people? Or does he or she know these people because they make money with these people? There's a difference.
that's the difference.
Big difference.
Somebody that makes money with these people, you know what they'll have problem giving you? A discography of what it is that they do to state who they are, so you don't get them misconstrued about with the next person that just party with somebody that just is talking shit.
And it's funny you say that. Like, people sometimes take pictures at face value. They're just pictures.
They're pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words.
You know what I mean?
I see people that
They just pictures.
mow people down on the internet because they got all these followers. This young lady the other day, I ain't even gonna mention her name, but you know, she wound up tapping into me, and I know she wound up tapping into me because she's watching a particular client that's moving. Right? She just sees based on the client giving a shout out. She kind of like putting one and one together. You understand? So she winds up being in my inbox. So I asked her, you know, out of curiosity, you know, what made you DM me? Well, I saw that you was, you know, with so and so and so and so. I said, that's pretty smart on your behalf. So she says, what is it that you do? I said, I do a little bit of this. I do a little bit of that. You know what I mean? I don't do too much. I just do enough. She's like, well, what does that mean? I says, well, how about this? I'll send you over my discography. As a matter of fact, I sent it over and I sent it to you in text, and you can pull it up while we talking in real time. And when she opened it up, it kept going line for line for line. Every time she was going, she said, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my, oh you kind of like a big deal." If that's your perception of it, I'm kind of like very serious about what it is that I do, so I wouldn't call it a big deal. I'm about getting the breadsticks, and if somebody want to get some breadsticks, let's go. But be for real,
And you love what you do, though.
Be adamant about getting to the bread. And don't have falsified expectations. Have realistic expectations. Young people have falsified expectations. They have what I deem as the want. And then the ultimate, which is the end, is the reward. But there's a process in between the want and the reward that they don't respect. They think that they're going to jump the line and go from the want to the process. It don't happen like that. Like I stated, it took 5 years, $400,000 in the hole with me and Mark before we saw a first check that was $80,000.
Wins and losses.
Wins and losses.
Wins and losses.
So when people talk about, yeah, I got X, Y, I don't want to hear that shit, dog. Like, you ain't spent this kind of money to get in. You ain't invest that kind of money into yourself. We living in a digital age. You went and bought a Pro Tools rig, and you bought, you know, you bought some hardware, and you bought some plugins.
Right.
Different time.
Different times.
Different time. One thing, let me ask you is, you have to love what you do because you don't. Your hours are just crazy. You always there's no set 9 to 5. It's just hours. It's just hours, man.
It's definitely hours, but they my hours,
Right.
and that's the difference. They not somebody else's hours.
You love what you're doing.
It's easy compared to anything else in the world that I could be doing. This is sweet. I've never really worked a day in my life. You know how people say if you're doing what you love, it's not working? This shit ain't work. It's not.
I'm happy that you said that. I said that to my dad all the time because I used to work for this company. I used to just didn't like it because I felt like it was work. It wasn't what I thought going to school and having an accounting degree would give me in life, and the type of desires that I wanted and fulfillment, it wasn't being fulfilled. So it just made me more miserable, less wanting to be at work. So.
But he just said in between here to here.
Here is a process, right? So that's what I was about to say. So I understand
like everything that you go through in life, right? While you're trying to find, you got to find your passion in life first,
right?
And then after you figure out what your passion is, you got to figure out how to monetize your passion,
yeah.
Right? But then after you monetize your passion, you got to figure out what your purpose is. You understand what I'm saying? And then once you figure out what your purpose is, then everything comes in abundance.
Makes sense.
Is there anything wrong with wanting to see other people win? Like, that's just one of my passions. I love to see people win.
Hell no.
You know
I give you, for instance, okay, I got a little cousin named Troy Carter. Troy, before this summer comes in, Troy will be, quote unquote, a billionaire. Troy will have way more money than me in about 6 to 8 months. I'm happy as shit for Troy.
As you should be.
You know why I'm happy for Troy? Because Troy put in the fucking work.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Troy deserved what the fuck he get because he put in the fucking work. As Troy wasn't sweet, Troy will tell you how the fuck no, it wasn't sweet. But what is?
All right.
And that's the problem with people. They can't congratulate people for their successes. If people put in the fucking work, salute them for the work that they put in. And instead of that, going figuring out how to take, why don't you figure out, be humble enough to ask a motherfucker, yo, dog, like on some real shit, how you do this?
Yeah.
Like I need to know.
Give me the blueprint.
They not hungry enough to be. They not humble enough to do that.
All right.
Yo, dog, how did you do that? Like, what is the process? What is the process to getting $1 million? What is the process to making $100,000? What is the process to making 1.2 or 1.3 million dollars annually? What is that process?
You know, something just came to my mind. Being a manager, I just want to ask you a question. I know a lot of things in this world are black and white. Is it hard for you sometimes to take a client and sell them to different brands? Do you find that to be more difficult now than before?
No.
Okay.
I'm into global business. If it can't be something that's global, I'm not touching it.
Okay.
Because I want to service something that the world need. I don't want to have something that's only needed in a territory, only needed in one continent. I need something that's needed on multiple tiers, you know what I mean, across the country. That's why, you know, there's such a thing as vitamin water. I mean, banana weed milk. There's such a thing as Artigen. There's such a thing as Bedlow. These are other things that, you know, we found ourselves to get into outside of music that will wind up having big payoffs. And I mean, I think the biggest lesson that I learned with this being in the music business is that it taught me how to do global business. Not just business, but global business.
Global.
It's something that is crazy. So it's a global business, but it's still our culture.
We are the culture of everything moving out here. That's why us, and especially young African Americans, they need to stop franticking, need to stop hating. And what I mean by that, let's say for instance, okay, in DC, right? DC ain't known for wearing brands. They don't wear Polo. No. They don't wear, you know what I mean? They might wear Nike tennis shoes and all that, but when it comes down to clothes, for every neighborhood, there is a brand that's supported by that neighborhood.
Yeah.
I got a homie that's down there. He make $1.3 million per year and been doing this for 20 years. And he employs a lot of people.
All right.
You understand what I'm saying? So why can't the same thing happen in Philly? Why? Because jokers get to hating. Oh, man. You know, why shouldn't a joker support Milano? Salute to the sister.
Yes.
Why shouldn't a person support El Revere? Salute to the sister. You know what I'm saying? And whomever else is out here. You know what I mean? But I see them putting in the work.
And it's funny because I look back because it was funny. The young lady used to live here. Her mother and father. She was a little girl when I first met her. Bagaro. Tiffany used to live here.
Not to mention her. Shout out to her too.
Yeah, but it was just weird because it's funny when I'm looking at her as a little girl when I was buying this house and seeing her in that little back room and look at where she's at now. I'm just so proud of her. You know, just so proud.
But jokers need to instead of hating on the rabbit, everybody need to dogpile the rabbit so that the rabbit can make money.
Because the rabbit, chances are, going to bring some money to the hood.
The rabbit going to get out the hole and make everything work for everybody.
That's right.
I tell everybody, in life ain't a sprint. It's a marathon.
Right. Yeah.
Why you think Nipsey Hussle named it Marathon?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It's a marathon. Mm-hmm. It's not a sprint.
And look how long it took him to get where he was and then do all the things he did in this community. And for that to happen, it just hurts. It hurts at another level. Because we was around for Biggie. We was around for Tupac, so to speak. You know, that was our era. This hurts a little different.
This is our Tupac, I feel.
Yeah, that's y'all Tupac.
Yeah.
Or are we wrong on that one, analogy?
I'll say it's a little deeper than Tupac.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because this dude was a part of a different culture and wound up pivoting.
Oh yeah, true that. Yeah,
and
true
turning
that.
it into something else. You understand what I'm saying?
Like, and try to feed his culture.
Yeah, so it's a little deeper. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's a little deeper than that.
It cuts.
You know, you got to understand when you understand gang lifestyle. Like they all over the place. It's just not a LA thing.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So when you got pockets all over the place, all those pockets all over the place, they feel that pain from it.
I was down in Baltimore. I seen some gangs down there, so I know. Hey, by the way, the company in DC, is that Helly Hansen that you was talking about, or?
Nope.
It's not
It's
that?
a lot of them. It's a lot of them. Yeah, it's a lot of them. I mean, it's Hobo. It's Vusi. It's a brother named Vusi Makuna.
I heard that.
That's my guy. Like
Okay.
Vusi been getting it for a long time.
You have any secrets about the clothing industry? I can give a pointer to me.
Flood the corner the market up, bro. Flood it out.
Flood it out, right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I say, like watch the Frankish Lucas story, right? And then
The original one.
yeah, and negate his product, but replace it with your own product and use those same fundamentals in regards to what it is that you got. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, yo, have them Jones in your trunk. You gotta have them in your trunk, bro.
Right.
You gotta always have product.
And it's funny that you say that. I don't tell my son this often, but I do tell him I'm very proud of him. I see that, and I see what he's doing, and it's like, it's just funny seeing him riding around with a bunch of clothes in his trunk, and he's really trying. And I salute you, and I want you to keep fighting for what you want.
Listen, man, when you believe in this, I'm gonna give you a marketing 101. You have to seed the product. You have to seed the product with who talk about things a lot. The people that talk about things a lot are barbershops and beauty salons. So if you give barbershops and beauty salon the product is for free, while they wearing it, everybody else gonna want to wear it because they're the trendsetters of the daggone neighborhood. Period. The flyest motherfuckers come in the barbershop and the hair salons. The flyest chicks and the flyest dudes.
And so you're on course.
I'm on course.
You're on course. And I mean,
and make sure your palettes, your color palettes, is the same color palettes of sneakers that are coming out.
That's right.
Right. That's something I want to get ahead of. Yeah.
And
do collaborations with some of these artists that's out here, like. You got the Ivan Takis and, you got my man Ibn. It's a multitude of them out here, man. You know what I mean? Like, they down with, like, helping young brothers out. Mm-hmm. But, everybody be on this, nah, old head, that's how it was in your time. Nah, you're going to need to listen to the old head because he's going to be able to tell you something. He gonna be able to tell you. The old head gonna tell you about the daggone the pothole that's on the road that you ain't traveled yet.
Right, because the game never changed.
It don't change.
No, what I always say.
It's just the players.
It's the players.
The players change. Just the game stay the same.
Period.
Man, we definitely hit a lot of key points. A lot of key points. So.
But I like I say, there's so many things I want to say, and there's so many things I wouldn't say. But there's you taking the time to come talk to my son and myself, I really appreciate it because, like I said, you and your father made a difference in my life. And I see the difference that you've made in my son's life in a short time. And that's what family does.
We all we got.
Yeah, that's what family does, man.
Family is everybody of dark skin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I got two homies that's out in LA. They my guys, they my brothers. You know what I mean? There's two brothers. They named Bobby and Izzy Avila. They Mexicans. They my guys. They my brothers. I love them like I love Mark. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we talk all the time. Like, yo, at the end of the day, everybody that got brown skin supposed to be on the same fucking team.
Yeah. At the end of the day, y'all hear that out there? That's real talk.
We all colors.
Well, yeah, it's real talk.
And before we get out of here, I always wanted to shout out Freeway and congratulate him on successful surgery and everything. And
that was something that hit dear, and I really appreciate you guys, man, taking the time to discuss the thing. It's funny how God will give you somebody that's going through something similar.
Right.
When I first, I have to say this, when it first happened to my mom, I was on my way to the gym, and it was like 5:30 in the morning. And this man right here talked to me till about 6:45. And whether they know it or not, him and Freeway got me through that rough time. Just by his little posts and our conversation. And I really appreciate that, man. I really do.
Good, homie. It's all good.
I really appreciate that. I really do, man.
All I'm saying, man, for you, bro, being thorough is a full-time job. You can't be thorough today and not be thorough tomorrow.
Right. If you're thorough, you're always going to be thorough every time.
Your principles got to stay the same.
Period.
Had end up with this song.
All the way live.
All the way live, man. Any writing on this or no? Any writing on this or no? No.
Oh, man, it's funny as the artists get older and listening, even like we were talking to Rand Shaw the other day, his lyrics have changed because he's experiencing different things in life. And it's funny because people always say, oh, man, I miss the old Jay-Z. The new Jay-Z's on another level. What he's saying, you got to have lived.
Yeah, he done evolved into something else.
Yeah, and the same with Freeway. When he talks,
I let y'all hear some of the Freeway cut yesterday with Quilly. This shit hot.
Triggers, no cat, bitch.